Go.
Hi, this is Team 15 presenting our Dungeons and Dragons app. I'm Atsuko Takanabe, and we decided to work on this app for our sponsor Cameron, who is my friend. He really likes this game, but there's no specific app for this game, so we decided to make this app for him. Now we're gonna take turn to Aaron, who's gonna explain this app.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Aaron Lee, and in this app, Dungeons and Dragons is a tabletop role-playing game. And in this game, you have a character, and when you fight monsters or creatures, you select a specific attack that you want to use, and then you roll dice in real life to determine the outcome of that. And there isn't a custom attack dice rolling app out there, and so that's why our sponsor wanted us to create this for him. And so I'm going to demo this product by first adding a new character, and we'll give that character a name, and I'm just going to be very creative and use my own name, and we're going to save, and we're using an SQLite database on this to save all the data. From here, we can see that we have my character has been created, and you can have multiple characters. For a long click, you can then edit or delete the character. I'm going to edit that character and add an attack. So again, you can have multiple attacks. You give an attack a name, such as sword. Then you select how many dice. In Dungeons and Dragons, there's multiple different types of dice. You can have a 4-sided dice, a 6, up to a 20-sided dice. So I'm going to choose the standard 6-sided dice that everyone's familiar with. Inside there, when you roll your D20, your 20-sided dice, to determine if your outcome of your attack will be successful, you can modify that. And so then also you can, if your attack is successful in Dungeons and Dragons, you can then modify the damage. And so we have many variables to take in consideration when we're adding an attack. I will add a second attack quickly to show how the multi-attack functionality works. And so now I have a sword attack and an axe attack. So back on the main page, once you have your character and your attack set up, you're ready to play the game and you're ready to use our app. So first we would select your character and select the attacks you want to do. Inside of Dungeons and Dragons, every creature has a specific armor class. It's called an AC. And so you'll have to get that from your dungeon master, is what they're called, the person hosting the game, and they'll say that creature's armor class is say 12, and your D20, when you roll it, will have to equal or surpass that. And so we enter in the armor class for that creature we're going to attack, and then we can choose one or multiple attacks. And so in this demo, we're going to select both of our attacks, which is the sword and the axe, and then we click attack. From there, it takes us to a new screen, and our sword attack on our D20, it rolled a 5, and we added a modifier earlier on of 2, and that equaled a 7, which was not 12 or greater. And again, on the axe is the same. So let's roll again and see if we can get a better result. And again, we didn't, and this is a complete random roll. And on our third time, we see that the D20 rolled an 18 and a modification of 2, so that's 20, which is well above the 12. And then it rolls damage, which we selected earlier was 2 6-sided dice. The first roll was a 3, the second roll was a 6, and then we have a damage modifier, which we added was a 5. So all those together is a 14. We just dealt 14 points of damage to that creature. And The axe also hit and damaged 13. So in the game, you can select multiple attacks, so you can quickly roll and determine the outcome of your attacks without waiting for all the dice, the physical dice. So now I'm going to turn it over to Justin to talk about some of the challenges and the cool features behind the scenes.
Thank you, Aaron. What a cool app. Well, I'm Justin, and I'm the software architect for this group. And this app was a lot of fun to make. There's a lot of little things that we did, but there's also a lot of challenges that we had to face, that we had to get through as well. Some of the features that we were able to add, we implemented a recycler view, which is kind of an updated version of a list view, which was really cool. It allowed us to select multiple things and do a couple other things. There's a lot of potential with that as well. So we implemented it mostly with the character list and I think the attack list. Another cool feature that we were able to implement was just having the databases be locally saved so that we didn't have to worry about online verification and accounts. We just ended up using SQLite to save all the data, like the characters, the attacks, the values in the attacks. We just saved all those in databases that are stored locally on the user's device, making it a lot simpler without dealing with any problems with servers and other things like that. Some of the problems that we faced, though, one of the biggest challenges that we faced in this development stage was mostly to do with GitHub and trying to figure out exactly how the files and kind of the overhead that Android Studio introduces to our development files, how to handle those with GitHub, and realizing that there's a lot of conflicts that comes from that, or setting up the GitHub repository with Android Studio was just a little bit more confusing. And so it ended up leading to a lot of conflicts and that we needed to merge that were just really involved and quite tedious. So that was one of the biggest challenges. Another small challenge that we may have faced was the way that we implemented our databases and the way we handled the characters and the attacks was through the databases as well as through objects that we use to help streamline the flow of information through the databases and the activities. So we used the objects to store information temporarily while we loaded those values into the databases, which we could then, from the character screen, we would populate the objects again from the database. So it was kind of like an intermediate step. And while that was really useful for us, it also was sometimes confusing because we had to remember to update both things when we were updating an attack or updating a character. We needed to remember to update the object associated as well as the database, making it when one of them was updated and the other wasn't, we ended up with crashes. And so those were some of the things that we faced that were challenges. And those are also some of the features that we included in our app that weren't very apparent. Overall, this was a really fun project to do, and the app turned out really well. Thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys enjoyed our app.